Okay, this is going to be, I guess it's going to be backwards because I already took the transmission out and I already tore the transmission down before I really thought about, hey, maybe I should do a video on how to change input shaft bearing. But this is a 2006 Honda Civic with the R18, the LX, the EX LX model, the 1.8 liter. All right, I'll just jump right into it. As you can see, I did not pull the engine out. I lowered the subframe and pulled the transmission out that way. And yes, if you do it that way, you have tendency to pull the steering column out, and yes, it will mess with the steering. But the way I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna get it back as close as I can, probably perfect, but as close as I can, which will be leaving the we're pretty much getting the rotors or wheels as straight as I can and getting some help with holding the steering wheel in the straight position before I jack the subframe back up and put it back in this socket. But that'll be later on. Right now, I have the transmission taken apart. The bearing was toast. I have a new bearing, but all of it here, the bearing, like it was like only, it was toast, metal everywhere. I cleaned the case, you know, and obviously when you're doing the bearing, you want to get a new seal put in there. But I'll do a rundown on when you have the transmission out. Since I already have everything taken out, I'll do a rundown on how to get it out. This splash guard right here, you want to make sure the splash guard, make sure you note the position and put it back in the same position. And when you're putting the cover back on the transmission, you want to kind of hold it in place when you're putting it back on. But all right, so case will be on like so, and once you you have three, let me get them. You're gonna have three of these. It's gonna be a spring in here with a check ball. You're gonna have one on each shifter. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna take those three out, get a magnet, pull each check ball out. And once you pull that out, then you're gonna have your shifter. You wanna make sure this is in the neutral position, which I'll show you later on where neutral is. You wanna make sure that's in a neutral position when you pull it out. You also wanna pull out the you also wanna pull out the reverse switch. And you also want to pull out the reverse switch. And the way I have everything lined up here, you know, kind of organized. It isn't really that organized. But so, and when you're taking off the case, you're going to take off your 10 millimeters. After you take your 10 millimeters off, you're going to have adhesive. It's going to be adhesive on. You also have bullshit. Okay, new thing. Okay, when you take your case off, you're going to have your 10 millimeter cut, action. Okay, when you take your case off, you're going to have your 10 millimeter bolts. You're going to take off all your 10 millimeter bolts. It's going to be adhesive on. And so you can't just pull it off. So what you're going to have to do, you also have a C-clamp here, you're gonna have to get put needle nose or C-clamp pliers put in there, spread that open, and before the case will even come off. So you're gonna spread that open while you're pulling the case up at the same exact time to get it over this right here. This right here is where the C-clamp is gonna connect to on it. And it's going to be on that bearing. It's not going to allow the case to get off. So therefore, that's why you have to open it to, and when you're putting the case on, open it to take the case off and to put the case back on. Okay, enough talking, and let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's get what you guys want to see. Putting a new seal in. So, boom, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put new seal in, facing outwards. I'm gonna use this because this right here seems like it's, about the same size. You want to hit the outer edge. Do not want to touch the inside. You want the outer edge to touch. This is a 32 millimeter. So I'm going, if I can find my, okay, as you can see, have it flush in there. Now, the next step is the bearing. This bearing, I highly recommend the order from Honda. And if anybody wants the part number for the 2006, it's different. It's a different size bearing. I've bought like 3 different bearings, but this is the right part number I had to get off. So if you guys want to see, that is the part number for the 2006 Civic. I think the difference is on the older ones, it's the width of it is 15 millimeters and this one is 14 millimeters. Okay, again, pretty much it's the same deal. You're wanting to hit the outer race of the bearing. You do not want to hit the center. So I have this, which is a 36, which goes around the outer race very nicely. And the reason I'm using these, is, this is hardened steel, so not mess up where my gun goes or anything, but it'll evenly distribute pretty much all the blows, and the bearing won't go crooked, it'll go straight down. Okay, now I have the bearing seated properly, even with the rest of the case. Next step will be, we're gonna put the gears in, and pretty much rest is history. Putting all the gears back in, put the reverse gear. I'll show you placement of the reverse gear. And okay, guys, sorry, my kids are coming out here, so they'll be in the midst of the video on this portion of it. But hold on. So what we're gonna do is put in the gears back in. You can pretty much get them out of the vehicle around the same, like in one piece, if you can keep it one piece. Okay. Daddy, can I help? Huh? Well, once you get it seated in, it should fall right into place. Like so. Everything's locked.
Hi. Here.
Make sure I'll get some light for you guys so you can see a little bit better. You see the placement of everything, just in case you guys get in a bind, and you can use this video as a reference to see where everything goes.
Daddy.
Okay, now we're going to be installing the reverse gear, which is the gear on the dowel pin, and you see the cutout. The cutout will be at the bottom. So what you're going to do, put the reverse on like so, and the dowel pin will go right in, right? See, let me get some light for you guys. Okay, this might be a little bit better. Have some light. I know the GoPros are kind of freaky with light issues, but if I can get the light working. Goodness, really? Okay. Dial pin goes in. Reverse gear, goes up to engage like so. Okay, this is the bracket that is going to be what you shift into reverse, and it goes this way. You want this little guy right here, the selector, to go up under and up under the gear into that crevice. And then I'm gonna put the camera down and tighten these bolts up because I can't do it with one hand. Okay, I have the reverse back in place with the pin. This is how it works. So when you hit reverse, it will go up, throw the gear down, and that's your reverse, like so. That's how it works. This is for reference. If you need these two bolts, just bolt this bracket up and it goes inside this notch. Okay, the next step is the easy step. I've already cleaned the surface. So what you're gonna do is put some RTV sealant around this whole surface to seal it in so no transmission liquid leaks out. Okay, I'll spread the RTV sealant around the whole case. What I forgot to mention before I put the case back on is down in here, that's a magnet. And when you take everything out, you want to clean that magnet. That is what catches all the metal and everything. And mine was like really gunked up from the bearing that it ate up. But so the next, okay, ran into a little issue putting the case back on. This is the quickest way this is the way I found. You have this right here, right? And this goes onto here like that, and the bearing goes on top of here. I'm not gonna pull the bearing out, but the bearing goes on top of here. You have divots inside of there, which, I mean, it's straightforward. The long one goes in. So it was hard for me to line them up. So what I did was I took the bearing off, and I'm gonna put it in like so, and then I'm gonna put it on the case. So I'm gonna do it like that. Okay, after you get your C-clip in the shaft, you want to put your bolt back on, and then I'll show you how to put on the shifter, and we'll go from there. Okay, now get out the light. You want to make sure your gears are in neutral. I think you can see that. This right here is in neutral. Where you can tell it's in neutral. Just select the bounces back. And you're wanting to adhesive it so you don't have any leaks.